So I've been following you for the last couple of years. And I can't remember the other person, but I know one of the emails I got from Les Brown talking about you. And so I guess it's kind of a two-part question. Number one is, how did you meet Les Brown? Number two, moving forward, when you have someone that big in front of you, what would you say? Because I had the opportunity a couple of days ago to stop you, and I did. I say, hey, and I froze.
I'm pretty intimidated.
So, but I know you were tired. So what would you say?
That is an awesome question. I love that question. So my ability to meet and network, and as I say, woo people of status and influence, is something that I thought for some time was a fluke. It just was perfect situations were happening. But I don't believe that anymore. Les Brown, so there's a gentleman who I'm very close friends with. His name is, so this is going to be a long answer, all right? I apologize ahead of time, longer than my past answers, but there's a lot of value in here. There's a lot of belief patterns that can be built off this answer. There's a gentleman by the name of John Tallarico. He is my big brother. I mean, he is literally, he's the, like if someone's bullying me, like he's the guy I call, and he shows up and makes them stop. The way this whole story plays out is years ago. I used to go to India a lot. I used to do a month here, a month in India, a month here, a month in India. And years ago, we were supposed to be at an event, me and my, at that time, business partner, and I don't show up because I just didn't want to go at the end, but my business partner went. And this gentleman, John Tallarico, showed up at the event just because he was looking for me. So he meets my business partner, he's like, where's Anik? And he's like, oh, he didn't come. And he's like, son of a gun, I flew all the way here just to meet him. I said, okay, I need you to get a message across to Anik. And he's like, okay, so what's the message? He goes, Shah Rukh Khan wants to meet him. And I need to set up a meeting. I need him to answer my call. And so my friend, so Shah Rukh Khan is, I always joke and say, if you took Michael Jordan, Tom Cruise, Keanu Reeves, George Clooney, Oprah, and put them all in one person, that's Shah Rukh Khan in India. He is a freaking legend. And so much so that People magazine voted him as one of the top 20 most powerful people in the world, above Oprah. Okay? I forgot what day of the week it is, every certain day of the week at a certain time, hundreds, if not thousands of people line up outside his house every week. It is a traffic nightmare. It is a complete safety hazard, but you can't stop them because there is a chance that he will come out on the balcony and wave. When 90% of the time he doesn't because he's not there. This is the man. And I used to have a joke with my college friends, and I swear they thought it was a joke. In my head, it wasn't. I used to say, you wait. I will be hanging out with all the top Bollywood stars. I'll have them on my phone. I'll be chilling with them. And I was like the most American brown kid you can meet. And they were like, do you even know the language? Right? And so in college, they used to tell me this, and I used to assume success. I used to literally, people would say to me, and I would say back to them that I'm going to do this. And when they looked at me like I'm crazy, I was in my head thinking, well, you're crazy for not believing me. I mean this. This is a reality. It's happening, right? With that much resolve. So when my friend called me and said, when my business partner called me and said, this guy said this, I've sat back, and I'm out of college. My business is doing great. And I used to go to Mumbai at that time. So that's another fluke, right? I have no family there. That's just how I ended up it's like ending up in the Beverly Hills, right? When you've been saying your whole life that you're gonna meet a bunch of Hollywood stars. So he shows up. So basically my business partner calls me, and I thought he's absolutely out of his mind. And I thought it's someone who's heard me say this is playing a prank on me. So now all of a sudden, I've had years of belief, and when it's sitting in front of my doorstep, I thought, that's not possible, get out of here. So I was like, whatever, Amit, I'm not gonna deal with this. It's BS. This guy, John Tallarico, calls Amit again 2 days later. Did you send my message? Amit's like, look, man, I'm trying. He doesn't care. So I told Amit finally, I said, tell him if he's really serious, this is my office address. Show up. If he shows up here to tell me that, I'll listen to him. 4 days later, office door's open. There's a John Tallarico here to see you. And I'm like, oh shit. All right. Comes in, puts me on the phone with Shah Rukh Khan's manager. I know this guy's voice, and I'm listening to him. I'm like, oh my God, this is really happening. Anyways, fast forward a month later, I have a car pick me up at the hotel in Mumbai. I'm driven right up to his house, actually go through a huge crowd, doors open, there's actually a red carpet. there's actually a red carpet upon which the car drives onto. His manager comes up. I recognize his manager. I recognize his assistant. Open the door. Oh my God, thank you, come on in. I go right into his home, up to his personal floor where he invites people. Next thing I know, 20 minutes later, we're watching YouTube and laughing, sharing phone numbers. And for that, I knew him for years after that. I've kind of fallen away now because we moved in different directions. Same gentleman, John Tallarico, called me a few years ago and said, a gentleman by the name of Les Brown wants to meet you. And I thought, the Les Brown? And he's like, yeah, he's gonna be at an event. Can you come? I said, yeah, I'll be there. So when I met Les Brown, he took me down to a cafe and he just said, I wanna say congratulations on all your success. This was where my moment was. I said, what the heck do I say to Les Brown? And all I said to him was, you have changed my life. I just want you to know what I did and how you've changed my life. And for that, thank you. And today I'm at your service. What can I do for you? That was it. Now, Bob Proctor, how did I meet him? And how did I become such good friends with him? I went to an event in Mexico, Awesomeness Fest by Mind Valley. Showed up there and I knew one person. In the whole event, I knew one person, Sonia Riccati. And I mean, like, I knew her was a loose term, and just like we had met a couple times. I'm walking around, I'm like, man, this is a completely different market. I don't know anyone here. I walk into the cafeteria and it's Sonia. I'm like, hey, Sonia, what's up? And she's sitting next to a gentleman and she introduces me and says, this is Brian Proctor. Brian, this is Anik. And of course you have that moment where you're like, any relation to? You never get a yes to that. I'm like, any relation to Bob Proctor? Now, of all people who've impacted my life, Bob was the one that did it the most. I mean, I followed him like to the T. And he responds, yeah, I'm his son. And I thought, holy crap, it's on. And you know what we did after that? I did nothing. I just hung out with him. I had no game plan. I just was me. And in conversation, it came up that I've always wanted to meet Bob. Brian took that, put it in somewhere. 3 weeks later, called me and said, my dad wants to meet you. Can you fly up to Toronto? Next thing I know, I'm chilling in his house for a day. But I never really pushed for it. You see the don't worry about the how? The biggest one is Robert Kiyosaki. First book I ever read. That book was what made me believe that entrepreneurship was the solution for me. And I can't even tell you what fluke of events, random coincidences, I don't believe in those, but what others would call coincidences, led to me ending up in his office, hanging out with his marketing team. Next thing I know, Robert wants to write the foreword to my first ever book. And the only person I could tell that to was my father, because he knew. I used to walk around with Rich Dad Poor Dad in my hand, clenched, right? He tried to put an SAT book in my hand, and I'd throw it away and said, no, this is my book. And when I told him, and he goes, the purple book guy? This is good. He says, the purple book guy? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, whoa. I'm like, yeah. And now all of a sudden, Robert messages me on a random time of, hey, I need advice. Those are my best text messages where I'm like, I'm blown away. I'm like, really? I'm going to get on a phone call and advise Robert Kiyosaki on how to build his business. But in that situation as well, walked in, first thing I said is, how can I help you guys? I showed up with no ask, nothing. What can I do? This morning they called me. They were talking about something and we were talking about business. And they were his team was a little distracted, I could tell. And then he goes, the team says, hey, there's a fire going on. Sorry if we're a little distracted. I said, well, hold on. Stop. What's the fire? He's like, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. I said, no, let me help. What's the fire? Tells me what it is. Just so happens to be, I know the perfect guy to put it out. And I said, give me 5 minutes, I'll call you right back. Ended the call, which is probably a multi-7-figure discussion. Made that my priority. Got it fixed for them. And that's how you win people. It's not manipulative. It's just through service. So everyone I've met, and I've had malicious people in my life. This is what I know. This is how I know I build relationships the right way. I've had quite a few stories in my life of people that have tried to destroy me, that have come in and been just, Ritho is smiling right now. He knows. Ritho has been around long enough to see these people and know. And you know what's funny? They can't. They can try as hard as they want. They go out and try to badmouth me to my friends and to my network. 13 seconds later, hey bro, this is what's happening. You need to know. Put an end to it. You want me to do something about it? you just can't break those bonds because they're not built off of materialistic or financial things. They're friendships built upon, how do I serve you? What can I do for you? Right? I always teach this to students. When you meet someone, don't jump to what can they do for you. It's just not gonna work. Even if that person responds favorably and does what you asked, they did it, but there's no bond at all. So from these big people who become our affiliates to the small guys, it's always, what can I do to help you? Now, I may not be able to help. They may ask me something that I cannot do for them, and that's okay, in which I believe in honesty, and I say this for the following reasons, I can't help you, right? So it's just one of those answers where, first of all, you really got to believe it, guys. I mean, when I say believe it, I don't mean belief in the way it's used many times. I mean assumption to a point of being offended when someone says you can't do it. Like, it's downright disgusting because you've already done it in your mind. That's what it takes. And when you achieve that, it is really difficult for anyone to take that away from you. It's just impossible.